Super Kate. And I will be one of the Autobots for today, I suppose. So what are we going to talk about today?
Roll out.
Yeah, there you go.
I wanted to talk about that little intangible give a shit measurement.
What do we call it? The give a shit box or something like that?
Right? Like, so the concept is that like you can't teach people to give a shit. Oh, warning. Language. Can we put a language warning across the bottom of this? Or you can bleep us out. No, so you can't teach that, right? Like people either do or they don't. And it's funny because, well, everybody gives a shit about something. So if you have an employee or you work with somebody and it seems like they don't give a shit, then maybe they're not in the right task, job description, company. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a million. Sometimes maybe they're not engaged, right? Like, you've heard a lot of people say, well, I pay them to be here, so I don't really care, about their feelings, right? And I think paying people, yeah, they'll do their job, but that only gets you to like the 75%, 80% level, right? They will show up, they'll fill in the boxes and then they'll leave. They're not, it's that extra 20 to get to 100 and maybe 10 to get to 110. So it's like 30%, which is volunteer, right? I noticed something that I can fix and share a lesson. Like, I don't have to tell people that. If I'm disgruntled, screw you. Right?
Yeah.
And I think, would you rather have 110% profits or 80% profits? Because that correlates, right? Eventually, it's indirect, but it gets there, right?
And for me, I would rather hire somebody that has that give a shit factor, and they're really like in it. I can teach the rest. Like, we can teach the rest. You can teach technical stuff. Like, you can learn that stuff. You can pick it up. Versus having like an expert who doesn't really give a shit behind what they're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we, recently we spoke with a company and he was talking about a new hire, the general manager, and he just said, this person knew nothing about our industry or business, what we do or anything, but she just cared so much I had to hire her. Because that's what I want, right?
Yeah.
She'll learn faster, she'll be curious, she'll ask questions, she'll get along with everybody. Like, what more can I ask for? I'll teach her the rest. Like, whatever, So
maybe we need to, update all of our new hire forms with the give a shit factor on a scale from 1 to 10.
Well, that's actually really interesting, because we've put out a few proposals for things like HR interviewing programs, and we talked about there's of course the usual interview questions, right? Behavioral questions, but we talked about maybe gamifying a little bit, like based on your corporate values. So if your corporate value is like adaptability, what if you asked a question with a scenario and gave 3 answers? One where you were like super resourceful and were able to adapt, one where you just kind of did something, got it over with, and then another one that's maybe a throwaway or whatever, right? But just like, kind of have some fun with it a little bit and make it custom to who you are as a company, right?
That's really interesting. So like, when somebody in your company does something that reflects your behaviors, maybe you take that and like do those scenarios, build that in, right? Like, not only like positive reinforcement on those behaviors, but then take it and, hey, that would be a great interview question. What would somebody do in this scenario? Because we know exactly the result we want because it happened, right? Does that ever translate?
Totally. They could be very real scenarios to the company. Like, this actually happened and we did this and we wished we had done that, or yeah, we did that and we nailed it, right? Like, who knows? But yeah, and then that's that give a shit box, right? I mean, there's nothing, I think, sadder than someone who gave a shit and had it like have had that spark put out, right?
Yeah, either like too regimented, or they weren't allowed to, bring their ideas forward, or like whatever it is that takes that person and douses that spark. Man, like the loss of profits, no company could measure that.
Mm-hmm.
No
I think
company can measure.
that's the challenge, right? You can measure like how many calls you make, how many blah blah blah. Like you can't measure stuff like that.
But the funny thing is like, you as a business owner, you hope and pray that those people leave because they do so much damage if they stay.
Yeah, right? You talk about culture and how things flow and everything. It, and there's some neat ways. There's a story about a call company, like an IT support company, and they're just collecting data, and then they noticed that their top performers correlated directly to which type of browser they used, and it was like very random. And then they looked at it, and it was their top performers used Chrome, and their lower performers used the standard like Internet Explorer, Firefox, whatever system they're using. But the reason is Chrome doesn't just come with your computer. You have to seek Chrome out and download it because you want to get it. So it's a sign of wanting to innovate and look for better things and better ideas and whatever. So there's a really cool example of something random that you can measure that indicates a certain way of behaving, right? Like
a certain way of behaving. Well, and there's like some really cool companies out there that are doing AI technology and actually looking at personality types and like longevity and contribution to like the companies, right? So top performers, they're actually creating AIs that actually scan top performers and people who stay long and figure out what is it in their personality types that make that the right person for that job, and then they actually apply it to resumes to find the top resumes when they're hiring for that job. So like the technology out there is crazy on being able to scour the data. Like obviously it's going to miss some, it's going to get some wrong, but it actually averages out. So, but I mean, you can put all the AI in the world, it's really hard to tell if people are going to give a shit about what they're doing.
Right. I really love the mental exercise says mankind has built a station on Mars. You just got a contract to do whatever it is you do, but you can only send one person. Who do you send? And I love that, right? Because it's like such it like forces you to like, even like if you were trying to define your values or whatever, like, what is it about that person that so perfectly exemplifies your company that's the person you would send to Mars, right?
I think if we were to ask that question, I wouldn't have a choice. You'd be like, "There's a trip to Mars. I'm taking this, Caitlin."
See you later. Yeah.
We just got our emergency alert, everybody.
Oh, that's what that was. Oh yeah. Okay, then they told us that was coming, right?
Yes, we are shutting down.
Yeah, back to the grind. And that's actually timely because with being at home and not having the interaction the same, now more than ever it's important to pay attention to that give a shit box, right? Like,
yeah, because people are going to struggle to like keep up that sort of drive and that passion, because especially if they were starting to get back hanging out with friends and stuff, and now they got to shut that back down, like that does a number on people's motivation. And a lot of us, and not all of us, some of us are introverts and like to just kind of be hauled up, but a lot of us, it really impacts our day-to-day. So it can affect that give a shit box. So not only for hiring then, Adam, like the give a shit box is a good check-in tool. Hey, like I noticed you don't seem to have the same drive. Is everything okay? Tell me what's going on, right?
Yeah, and
so maybe it's a level, because it could go up and down.
Right. I know definitely, for myself, there are weeks or days or whatever where you're here, and then there's other times, depending on what's going on, maybe not so much, right? So, and I think that give a shit level, if it's high, things like creativity, innovating new ideas, trying new stuff comes easy, comes natural. If it's low, then it's like, it's draining. It's the opposite, right? So.
Interesting. I like that. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, for sure. Well, we've seen it. We've seen people in like even senior roles who are so passionate, and they just come up to like wall after wall after wall after wall, lose their passion, and the company could have got like twice the amount of like work and effort and productivity out of them, but they just stopped. They just stopped.
Like, screw it. One day you're like, it's not worth it. Screw it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not worth it. Like, think about how much, I don't know, you're just losing as a company. It's like a drain.
Yeah, no, I 100% believe that's the game, right? You talk about leadership, and there's like, a whole spectrum of books and knowledge out there, but at the end of the day, it's, taking that moment to ask about the give a shit box, I think,
Oh my God.
Right?
See? Give a shit. Gas. Check how much fuel is in somebody's tank.
Ooh, there you go. The meme. I love it. The gas program.
Do you got gas?
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I love that. Well, there you go. I feel like we need to end on a high note, like gas, like wicked. Fuel in the tank. I love it.
Fuel in the tank.
That is amazing.
Especially if you have fuel stations.
There you go. All right. Well, cheers. I didn't have a drink today, but
I have my nice North water.
Cheers. Oh, here, I got a water bottle here too. Yay!
Oh, okay. Plastic.
That's right again. Okay. We will talk to you next time.
Talk to you soon.